welcome to Afterthoughts. This is a recommend or refute. I am your host tonight, Ryan King. I think I've got everything correct so far. We'll see. We'll see if I can handle it, John.
Yeah, AI can't replace you, buddy.
Not yet. Yeah, it knows how to say it correctly. And the pronunciation might be a little off, you can tell, but it knows it's an or, not an and.
Yeah.
This is the episode where we each give you something that we recently watched and tell you if we recommend it or if it fucking was insane. I will. Before we get started, yes, we have joining us John Garcia.
Hey, happy to be here, recovering from the Spielberg fucking coma of schmaltz that we went through for Disclosure Day and AI.
It's too much Spielberg and too short of a window.
Did we talk? We've talked about Jaws before on this podcast.
Yes, we have.
We did.
All right, then that's the last. That's the last of Spielberg for
good.
everybody. Sorry, everybody else out there who wanted us to talk about any other Spielberg movie. It's never going to happen.
I'll keep bringing up Hook.
Of course you will. You're going to keep courting
and threatening to make y'all watch Hook.
Dixon's going to quit the podcast for sure at that point. He's already fucking sworn off Zack Snyder. Spielberg is going to be a no-go.
There are way too many people my age who unironically love that movie. And I'm like, no, it's bad. Like, if you like it, that's fine. But it's a terrible movie. And like, they're like, no, what are you talking about? It's a great fucking movie. I'm like, you're an idiot. Stupid opinion.
That is... Michael Dixon letting us know his thoughts on Hook. No,
if you like Hook, you're an idiot. You have stupid opinions.
He's going to find out that his wife likes Hook. It's going to be a real problem.
She probably does.
Oh, God.
There's an edit over this.
You're headed for this. I can't help you now, buddy.
All right. Well, let's get started, John. What did you watch?
So I mean, in the previous episode about AI, I mentioned that I watched Bicentennial Man, and I really thought long and hard about whether or not I should bring it. And I really think that it should just be an honorable mention. Bicentennial Man is a fucking weird ass movie made in 1999 by Chris Columbus. It's like fucking Home Alone.
Discovered America, made Home Alone.
As we all know. And then decided to adapt an Asimov thing with Robin Williams, where you watch a robot turn into Robin Williams and then accept death and find love. And it's just so confusing for anybody watching it, given the context of where Robin Williams went from there. And very sad. That one, I would say, like, if you haven't seen it, it's going to fucking blow your mind and melt your face. And it's really strange. But it's not a good movie necessarily. So instead of talking about that, because we talked about it at length in AI in comparison, I'm going to talk about another movie that I watched that I didn't expect to watch. And one of my friends, she saw that this was on, I think it was at the Paramount that they showed it.
They did show it there this summer.
Yeah, this summer for their summer film classics before they shut down for renovations. And she really wanted to see it, but she couldn't because scheduling conflicts and all that. So I said, hey, let's watch this past weekend. She came over and we sat down. She had no idea what it was about, other than that it looked like it was a Paul Thomas Anderson film, and it was going to be depressing, potentially. It seemed sad. She just assumed by the way that the tone was going. And that film is 2012's The Master.
How did I get down here?
You're acting aggressive because you drank too much alcohol.
What do you do?
I am a writer, a doctor, a nuclear physicist, a theoretical philosopher. But above all, I am a man, just like you.
He's been writing all night. You seem to inspire something in him.
What we will do now will urge you toward existence within a group, society, or family.
Good science, by definition, allows for more than one opinion. Otherwise, you merely have the will of one man, which is the basis of cult.
And this is where we are at. To have to explain ourselves. For what? The only way to defend ourselves is to attack.
You know, you should wake up, Val. Your father's speaking. You might learn something.
He's making all this up as he goes along. You don't see that?
This came out after, like, the year after There Will Be Blood. Was There Will Be Blood?
4 years after.
Okay, 4 years after.
Okay.
For some reason, I think it's always like 2011 for There Will Be Blood, but it's not. But yeah, this is Paul Thomas Anderson's follow-up to There Will Be Blood, which it's on the surface about Scientology. It follows a Navy veteran named Freddie Quell, who falls in with an L. Ron Hubbard stand-in named Lancaster Dodd. And Freddie is an aimless, he's discharged. The war's over. This is after World War II. This is in the 1950s. Freddie is trying to find his place. He is not good at what he does, which is he's a photographer, but he has a lot of PTSD. Everybody else does. And he just can't really fit in, and he doesn't know why. And he makes a shit ton of weird boozy concoctions that aren't actual booze. It's like a lot of cocktails made out of paint thinner and other weird shit. And one day he drunkenly stumbles onto a boat, joins a party for somebody's wedding. Turns out it's Lancaster Dodd's daughter, who's getting married to somebody played by Rami Malek, which I was like, oh my God, Rami Malek's in this. Like, there's a lot of people in here that I recognize. Like, we got Jesse Plemons is also in this film.
Before he got famous and became the shitty actor that we all know today.
Yeah, Rami Malek, Jesse Plemons. We have Amy Adams. We've got Philip Seymour Hoffman. PTA knows how to stack his cast and knows what he's trying to do with them. This movie is all about this. It's a pseudo romance developing between Lancaster Dodd, the L. Ron Hubbard figure, and Freddie, this aimless naval soldier who's looking for some kind of family and complacency, and he just wants purpose, really. But he's so frustrated and has so much trauma kind of built up from killing Japanese men during the war, and just kind of wasting a lot of time at sea and being aimless on different shores, just he's lost a lot. He's lost the love of his life at the time. Somebody that he was in love with has written him a letter, and he's moving on and all this other stuff. And so you're really just picking up with Freddie and following him through his life. And I hadn't seen this movie since it was in theaters. I think when I saw it in theaters, I did not give it the same appreciation that I give it now. I was not as learned as I was then. And I haven't seen as many films and walked as many of these different narratives and been able to give the patience that I can now. And I fucking loved The Master. It is very, it's not unsettling. It's uncomfortable the entire time that you kind of watch it, because Freddie doesn't know how to express himself. And it's pretty clear when you're watching it that he doesn't know how to do that. And Lancaster Dodd also is a man who, despite being sort of a P.T. Barnum character selling a new age religion and a new age philosophy on it's like a metaphysics built sort of structure. He also doesn't seem to understand a lot of the human mind. And I felt like this was a toxic romance between two men who don't know how to explain each other and don't know how to actually assess each other, and instead impose different understandings of their worldviews. And it just kind of goes from there. You watch the chaos sort of spin out, and it has such an undertone of bittersweetness and sensuality in the way that they express their love in a toxically masculine way, which is this weird imposed new age 1950s style. That it was really, I don't know, it just touched me. I was very moved by the way that it portrayed the characters. And I've seen an interview with PTA where somebody was trying to really grill him and get the confirmation that this is about Scientology and this is all about the cult and whatever else. And I remember him being very flippant in that. It's been years since I've seen that interview with him, but I remember him being what do you think that it's about? And they're Scientology and these things because of that. And he's then why do I need to say this to you? And I was that's fucking great. That's it's not being too flippant. It's being very you know what? If you already understood that part, why do I need to make this the canon conversation of what I'm trying to say? Just trying to explore these two characters. Joaquin Phoenix plays Freddie. Joaquin Phoenix is fantastic in this. His body language, the way that he carries himself, it really conveys the character that he is, sort of the desperation that he's stuck in trying to find connection, and also physical pain. His as a character being through the Navy, drinking, he's been drinking all kinds of cocktails and these different mixtures of just fuel and paint thinner and whatever else. His kidneys are fucking destroyed.
Clearly his whiskey ration was not enough.
No, they did not give him
reaching for other things.
Everything else that he can find, he just fucking makes it. And the entire movie, he carries himself in a way where he's always holding his kidneys, and that's his full kind of character posture, and it just breathes so much life into something that could have been skulking or stalking around or this kind of thing. He's like literally physically trying to continue to hold himself up to press through life. And there's so much in that performance that's just beautiful, and the subtleties that he's doing. This wouldn't be the last time that PTA works with him, as we would see later with like Inherent Vice, and like it's wild. It's like night and day to see Joaquin Phoenix transform between this character and then what's in Inherent Vice. And it really was a wild time to witness that transformation and this character magnetically drawn to Philip Seymour Hoffman's like cult leader, and the way that they bounce off of each other. So I really enjoyed The Master. Is it trying to say something? Still to TBD. It is much more an exploration of the characters itself. I love a good character piece. Doesn't try to assert anything on like Scientology or any of that, but it did leave me thinking about it ever since then. And even when I saw it the first time, like years back, so much of it is ingrained in my mind from a one-time viewing because of how striking the composition is, the score, all of that. I just remembered so much of it when I watched it again. But yeah.
So it doesn't make, do you feel like it makes a statement one way or another about the religion, quote unquote, in the story? Or is it just part of how they're telling, like how they're using the characters around that?
There's a background story to it about the religion, because there are people who come out of the woodwork every so often, like true believers that slowly get shed from the rest of the religion to the point where Philip Seymour Hoffman has to essentially flee the United States. He says that it's, to find like a firmer grasp of people who understand that kind of thing. And so the entire time, I think that the movie does a good job of, it's not hitting you over the head with it, but you're seeing these different confrontations with his character. We have skeptics that come in, or people who are true believers right now that then become skeptics. And every time that he's confronted with that, he loses his full composure and just becomes angry. And it's like, it never, even when he does that, it like snaps the spell. Like you're following his charisma as he talks on screen. And I feel like the audience can be very easily ensnared into the things that he's saying. It's like they make general sense on the surface. And I've read like one or two chapters of Dianetics. It has the same vibe to it, where it just like pontificates. There's like platitudes and other shit that just like, yeah, okay, I can kind of see this. But then the moment that anybody steps in to question it, he gets angry and breaks that spell. And the film does a really good job of showing you that again and again, to the point where even Freddy starts to question it. And that's where a lot of the character drama comes through too, is like, you're both drawn to each other because you find acceptance, but neither of you believe in your worlds, in your realities, and the way that they coincide. So there's like very nuanced exploration of that I found.
Yeah, this movie is really interesting. I think it's a great film, but it's also frustrating, and it kind of keeps its viewers at arm's length a little bit, and feels a little obtuse in like, it feels like it's trying to say something big, but it refuses to say it. And it really is this character piece between these two guys. And then also Amy Adams is great in her role. She's a little bit tertiary to what's going on. There's a lot about PTSD and, America coming out of World War II and being disillusioned and confused about how to move forward, and soldiers trying to reintegrate into society, and, cults or religions, tomato, tomato, taking advantage of people in these situations. But it's not like, it feels a little bit anticlimactic, and it's not like leading to some big gut punch message that you think it is the whole time. And so it leaves you kind of marinating on these ideas a lot afterward, and kind of trying to seek out meaning and something that the director is trying to say, when I don't know that he really is, aside from just ruminating on these ideas. And it really is a two-person character piece at the end of it. And there's a lot of other great actors that do good work, but Phoenix and Hoffman are just so good in it. And you talked a lot about Joaquin Phoenix's performance. I think Philip Seymour Hoffman is fucking great in this too. And
I took that for granted.
Yeah, I mean,
so
obviously
good.
he's always very good. But I remember reading something about The Master after the first time I saw it about how they each have very different approaches to acting, where Phoenix is very internal and he develops these characters from the inside outward. And Hoffman is a very external actor, and he is doing a lot on the outside to develop the character kind of outside in. And you can see that difference between how the two are performing. And it's a bit like, you know, I don't know, it sounds kind of pretentious to speak about it in those terms. But like, I can understand what that reviewer was getting at in their styles. And Hoffman has been compared a lot to Orson Welles, maybe slight foreshadowing for later in the podcast, but you know, I think he's kind of the closest thing that we've gotten to him, and this performance in The Master feels like his most Wellesian performance, where he's this big, towering, blustering figure that is just taking up the entire world of Joaquin Phoenix's character, and it's just like you can't look away from him, even though you know he's full of shit, and I think it's just a really interesting story, and there's a lot of ideas that it's touching on, but I think a lot of people are looking for it to say some grand thing about America, and I think PTA kind of refuses to do that, and I think that's why some people were frustrated by it, and it didn't land as well with the public as There Will Be Blood did, but I think it's just as good technically of a movie as There Will Be Blood. You know, is it as good in other terms? You know, who knows? I think people will argue that, but yeah, I think it's a fascinating film.
Yeah, it's, I mean, I continue to think about it because it does have very clear through line of what, like, Phoenix's character finds as being fulfillment, as what he thinks, and it starts and ends in a very bookended way that makes you consider, like, how could you fall down this path? How could you follow a cult? How could you become part of that? And it's not doing it in overt, like, oh, whenever I think about like cults and people do documentaries about cults and that kind of shit, they always talk about like, oh, it's the most vulnerable of us that are, you know, prone to it. And they usually reference like people who are like weak of mind, that's what they try to talk about, or like their circumstance. And the circumstance usually ends up being like they had no friends or they were isolated or something. But like there's so much beyond that that's not surface level that like Phoenix's character embodies. Like he tries to find romance, he tries to find connection, he tries to understand others, and we see all of those aspects happen, and he slowly falls into favor with this guy. And likewise, like it's weird, it establishes an empathy for a cult leader too, where I didn't expect it to try to do that, but it's a PTA film, and PTA always has a respect for the humans at the core of his cast. So like this cult leader the Master is kind of a grand question for the movie. Everybody calls him Master, but is he? Because there are pressures around being a cult leader, pressures around leading this cult and trying to do these things that effectively lock you into a jail of like social pressure, where it's like you really have to keep up the scam once you're going, or you have to keep up these metaphysics and this bullshit, and that imprisons you. What is really the Master to you and the Master to others? And it's handled so well, and so, but yet it remains so enigmatic, and yeah, like Dixon said, at arm's length, that it just becomes a fascinating exploration of it. It just becomes something that's like mesmerizing to watch and wander on. It is a slow burn. It does have that patience factor built into it, where like you're just along for the ride, and you really have to accept that there might not be a massive milestone one way or another. But I think by the end of the movie, the smallest interaction like between two people that's had in the finality of it is the biggest milestone, and it's kind of beautiful to like witness. It feels so like intimate and innately like what we're all seeking, what humans want, what we really want at the end of the day. And I felt like that just tapped in. I was like, oh my God. But this time when I saw it, I really just teared up and I thought it was beautiful. So, yeah, The Master is a fantastic movie I'd recommend for everybody out there. It's different pace. It's going to be on its own time, and you just kind of have to be ready for that. But, if you saw one battle after another, it's not going to be like that heart-pounding kind of intensity for a PTA film. Hopefully by this point, anybody who saw that knows, PTA does so many different things, from Punch Drunk Love to Boogie Nights to Phantom Thread to There Will Be Blood. And like The Master's is another one of those, like, this is fucking just great on its own. Just good to watch.
Yeah, I do think The Master is a bit underappreciated in his filmography. Like, in my opinion, it's his second best film. It's so well done, but it is a bit mysterious and kind of forces you to, kind of love it from afar and try to figure out what it's trying to do. But I think it's very rewarding.
Okay. I'll have to check that out. That sounds like a cast that I like, and I like Paul Thomas Anderson stuff.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen that one. I recently took a trip to Japan, and I had a ridiculously long flight and an opportunity to watch a bunch of movies on the flight, but their Wi-Fi was down, and I couldn't fucking watch
Oh,
any
no.
Oh,
they
shit.
had.
Ryan's going to give
So
us a
I had to-
review of the back of a seat.
I was going to
Yeah,
say
pretty
Southwest again, but you went to Japan, so it wasn't them.
Yeah, no. It was Air Canada, which is weird to take to Japan, but that's what I took. I had backup, which was anime episodes and 1982's The Toy.
What do you give the kid who has everything?
Daddy said anything I wanted, anything in the store.
For Eric Bates, it was the only toy in his father's store
I know what I want.
that wasn't for sale.
What you're offering me is not a job, sir. It's an insult, and I'm insulted, and I'm splitting.
Now, Jack Brown has been made an offer he can't refuse.
$10,000?
For that kind of money, if Eric blows his nose, you wipe it.
And if he can survive 1 week with Eric,
Was I bad?
What you were gave a new meaning to the word bad.
he may even find himself a friend.
If you want a friend, you don't buy a friend. You earn a friend.
Richard Pryor, Jackie Gleason, Ned Beatty, and Scott Schwartz in a Richard Donner film, The Toy.
With
Okay.
Richard Pryor.
Weird choice. Weird backup.
Weird choice.
I don't know why. Did you get Brewster's
I don't
Millions
know
as
why
well?
Yeah, that would have been better. Not much better, but better. I don't know. It was one of those, I saw something about it and I was like, wow, that looks horrible and racist. And I downloaded it. The basic plot, Richard Pryor, he's unemployed. He's a writer, but hasn't actually written anything yet. His house is going to get repossessed. And so his wife is like, you got to find a job. You got to help get us some money to make sure we can keep our house. And he tries working for the paper, but won't get hired because he doesn't have the experience, and more so because he's black. And he's so desperate that the department store is looking for a janitor, and it's specifically a female janitor and a kitchen woman. And he berates the guy who's hiring into being like, oh, you won't hire me because I'm black? Like, not because I can't do the job or whatever. And the guy just like being afraid that, the Richard Pryor's wife is a lawyer. He also tries to hold that over her. But mainly it's an excuse to later put Richard Pryor in a dress while he serves food to the head of this giant company that owns this department store, as well as the paper and a ton of other shit. Ulysses Bates, or U.S. Bates, as he's called in the movie, played by Jackie Gleason. Immediately you hear the name Bates and you laugh, and I was like, and it was like, it'd be so funny if there's like a Master Bates joke, and 100% his son, Master Eric Bates, shows up, and they do make the Master Bates joke. At night, when Pryor is working as the janitor in the department store, this kid is coming from military school. He gets 1 week off that he spends with his dad, and otherwise doesn't see him at all. His dad has no way to connect with him as a kid, and just like, you can have whatever you want. You can have whatever you want from my department store. When you come in, go get a new toy. And he gets in there and sees Richard Pryor fucking around with everything in the store. Again, just an excuse to be like, hey, Richard Pryor, do some stupid shit. As he like fucks around with toys and breaks things in the store. And the kid finds it hilarious and turns to the guys and like, cool, I want the black man. That's literally what he says.
Wow.
They're like, no, you can have anything in the store. And he goes, no, I want the black man. Meanwhile, behind Richard Pryor is a Confederate flag in the toy store. Like, they fully know like what they're doing in this movie, but they still go through with it. They convince him to go home with the kid by agreeing to pay him a bunch of money. So I guess it's not slavery, quote. Like, it's okay.
Yeah, he's paid for
because
it.
he sold himself instead of being sold by someone else.
I guess.
By force, yeah, sure. I guess. They use it as just like continued comedy, but they're like feels like they want to say something, make some sort of statement, but they never do like really truly nail on any statement. It's definitely just used as laughs. Like when they buy Richard Pryor's character, they actually like crate him up and ship him to the house and then uncrate him at the house. Like it's just completely, it's ridiculous.
What the fuck? Holy shit.
Yeah, and it kind of just goes from like gag to gag where the kid is just a little shit. And weirdly, it constantly is like the kid does something fucked up to Richard Pryor and he's like, that's it, I'm fucking out of here. And then the kid like cries or does something and he comes back and feels bad. And then, but it's over and over again. That's the middle of the movie.
But does Richard Pryor like eventually endear to the kid? Please tell me that doesn't happen.
Yes. Eventually they kind of endear to each other because he realizes that the kid just like needs a friend, like doesn't have a friend. And that's why he saw Pryor's character being kind of funny and was like, oh, he'd be a good friend. And my dad never interacts with me.
Is that what happens?
No. That never.
Okay, Jesus.
Yeah.
Fuck.
The blackness is that's the weird part is it only plays into making it uncomfortable that he's buying Richard Pryor, right?
Sure.
That plays into it, and then later, slight angle again. U.S. Bates has some. He's embroiled in some controversy, and they're going to bring him in. The Senate's going to bring him in. It doesn't explain what, and it never follows through. But he gets a senator to come in and the KKK Grand Wizard to his house when he throws a party.
Whoa.
So that he can get a picture of them together to hold over to the senator so that he doesn't have to go in to the Senate.
But how does he know the KKK Grand Wizard?
Yeah, that's not... he's a white man in Louisiana in 1982.
You say no more.
You
said
like
Louisiana.
goes to the same church as him or something.
Yeah, you said
Right,
Louisiana,
just coincidentally.
and I understood.
Yeah, and then for laughs, Richard Pryor breaks up their KKK party.
Sure.
At the end, like drives a little go-kart through there and like messes up everything, and it ends up somehow getting the Grand Wizard arrested. It wasn't quite clear. Like he throws a pie and it hits a police officer who then arrests him, but somehow the corruption doesn't get him out of that. Eventually, like through all of it, U.S. Bates gives Pryor a job as a reporter to try to buy him off, to show the son like it's not about love, it's about money at the end of the day, and like see how powerful I am. I can buy him off and make him, give him the job that he wanted and get him away from you. But the kid like runs away to Richard Pryor, and he's like, hey, you got to give your dad a chance, and goes to the dad and gives him a heart to heart. Neither of which actually made me feel like that got through to either person. Like they're both such shits.
Yeah.
That just like 1 week with Richard Pryor fucking around doing funny shit in their house, they learned to love each other for some reason. Like it absolutely doesn't land either. And then at the very end, some other shit kid drives up and is fucking with Richard Pryor, and the lady's like, oh, hey, you're that toy or whatever. Can we buy you? And it's like, oh, here we go again. And like the end of the movie.
Oh, God.
And also they tell him that going forward, the kid has 2 weeks of vacation, and one will be spent with Richard Pryor and one will be spent with his dad.
Wait, they get shared custody, basically?
They get shared custody.
That's wild. Oh, my God.
What are the terms of Richard Pryor's contract? Like,
they pretty much are just like going to pay him to hang out with them for this week. Like they just, and they don't even really sit down. They just keep shoving money into his hand until he's like, okay.
He's just paid to be there with the kid for a week or however much time.
Yeah. Yeah. He just babysits him, I guess is the idea. Yeah.
Wow.
There really aren't any gags that stand out in my mind as actually being funny in any way, which is sad because we have Jackie Gleason and Richard Pryor, like
two comedic titans.
Yes, yeah, and they never actually play off each other for any comedy much. The only gag that like they actually are like involved in the same gag is everyone's sitting down to eat. It's like all of the at the office, like all the businessmen are sitting down to eat. Pryor's dressed up as in a maid outfit serving because it's a woman's job and they don't have clothes for him.
He can't just wear the clothes he had.
Yeah, it's not
right. He could just wear the clothes he has while he helps them serve food. Yeah, that's crazy. And then when U.S. Bates shows up, he sits down and instead of pulling his chair to the table, he pulls the whole table to him and it shifts everybody's food down.
Okay.
And Pryor sees this and like pulls the table back and then it causes the food to spill on Bates and he gets upset. Okay. But that's like the only comedy thing between the two of them. The rest of the time, it's more of just them arguing about the kid. And then the only thing that did actually I find funny and just like a ridiculous, this is a Richard Donner movie. It's clearly like kind of aimed at kids, but it just isn't
Racist
appropriate
kids.
for kids. Yeah, racist kids. Gleason's new wife, his second wife, is clearly absolutely fake tits. And like they even say that's the case.
I did not expect that.
And
Are we talking
it's
like
over the top?
Are we talking like Kitty Sanchez in Arrested Development, like nipples pointing in different directions?
Are we talking like Christy Nome's husband? What are we talking about
yeah,
here?
right.
Christy Nome's husband has fake tits?
Yeah, you don't know about this?
No.
You missed that whole section of Scandal.
I knew he was
dressing up.
cross-dresser, but I did not know he had
Yeah,
fake
he was
tits.
like, and he had the like
loves
fake,
to be bimbo.
Yeah,
He loves to have fucking huge tits.
he had the Mrs. Doubtfire like outfit that he was
Yeah, he did
putting
a
on
Mrs.
over and then
Doubtfire.
putting
That
clothes
was
over
his
there.
kink.
Yes, he Mrs. Doubtfire himself. No, just like giant, and they're like sticking out all the time. Like, right, he's proud of it. Like, this is why he's married her. This is the sole reason that he's with her, right? He has this in his office behind him. He has this big painting of her, like this huge oil painting. And while Richard Pryor and the kid are fucking around, they go into the office and they're like fucking around the office. And the kid is like, hey, push that button on the desk and then let me take a picture of you. And he pushes the button and the oil painting, the clothes on it, like pan up. And there's a giant naked oil painting of his wife that's back there. That he has a button on his desk that he can push to reveal her naked.
That's wild.
I was like, that's fucking funny. I was like, I don't know who was like, I'll put that in a kid's movie.
It was a different time when Toy was made. Was that PG?
So, but yeah,
I'm assuming PG.
I think it's PG because this is
like
before.
Airplane was PG and it had breasts.
Yeah, this
in
is
it.
before the PG-13. So yeah, this is like the PG, like inappropriate PG.
The golden era.
Yes, yeah.
And when your
We could just show
parental
a
guidance
naked
would
lady
really
oil
fucking
painting.
expose you to some shit you weren't supposed to see.
I was just talking to a coworker about that today, I think, and we were talking about how basically like, PG is basically what PG-13 is now, right? Like old PG, and now there just aren't PG movies, right? And like they made it because like, oh, PG is getting too far with Airplane and these other films, but then like now everybody wants the PG-13 rating, and so you just like say shit in your movie and it becomes PG-13, and it's just so easy to bump it up to that point that PG feels like such a small range. Like I don't even know what fits in there anymore. Like what technically qualifies as a PG film.
Bicentennial Man. Apparently.
Yeah. Oh, no, yeah, it's honestly now it's just like Pixar movies.
Yeah.
That's like, they deal with like a little bit of an adult theme, to somewhat in that like a serious theme. It's not just complete kid bullshit.
Yeah.
That gets you a PG kind of, and that's it.
It's a shame. I wrote a whole article about this in the Hyperreal Film Journal for Cloak and Dagger, one of the last PG films made. And it laments that. The 90s is the era of G movies with kids with smug faces and PG-13 films with a lot of action and violence and the other shit that kids need to see. That's just my opinion anyway. But yeah.
I guess The Sheep Detectives was PG.
Oh, The Sheep Detective. Dixon,
Talking sheep, a little bit too scary.
Yes.
For
That's
the little children.
that's a little too much.
Yeah.
Somehow the Paw Patrol movie was PG. So like again, then it almost opens the question of like, what the fuck is a G movie?
Yeah.
2001: A Space Odyssey.
Yep.
Yeah. Yes.
Where there are monkeys beating each other to death and a machine that murders astronauts.
It's a solid G.
Rated G.
Hell yeah. I love it. I gotta show my nephew that. Showed him Backrooms rated R. Might as well show him 2001.
Go for it.
Yeah. It looks like there's only been 2 G movies that are coming out this year.
Oh, wow.
Animal Farm?
That's, yeah. Cookie Queens? I have no idea what that is.
Cookie Queen.
And Gabby's Dollhouse.
Oh,
which
Gabby's
appears to be
Dollhouse. Yes. I know about this because my niece talked about it.
Does this mean Toy Story 5 is PG?
Yep.
Really?
Oh, totally. Yeah. Although, all those Pixar movies are definitely PG because they have some level of like actually talking about the real world.
That's G just lives. G's just a fantasy land.
So G-rated movies are like the retirement castle in The Simpsons, where it says, "Please refrain from discussing the outside world."
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, it's like a Baby Shark or Coco Melon or whatever.
Pure
It's just like
Flex
absolute
film.
nonsense. Yeah,
Pure Flex should be rated R.
Yeah, it really should. Oh my god. Anyways, these racist
I do not
kids
recommend
and
the toy.
toys. You can't recommend it?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so sad.
I can't recommend it. Which is the Superman with Richard Pryor? Watch that one.
Superman 3? Where he tries to steal from them cent by cent?
Is that the
Office
Space
one?
one?
It's the Office Space one. Yeah.
Richard Pryor. He's in that.
Watch that. Give that a watch.
That or Brewster's Million. That's, that's like a... Brewster's Million is a weird one. That's a little bit more like a...
It's okay, right? I think that's a good one, honestly, for kids. Like, it's fine. It's funny. It's an interesting thing.
It has an interesting concept of, like, if you had this much money and you had to get rid of it and you couldn't do it under these circumstances, what would you actually do? It makes you think a lot more about it.
It probably has a pro-capitalist message if I go back and watch it now.
I don't remember that, but yeah, probably. It's true. We'll see. One way or another, Ryan's going to watch all the Richard Pryor movies.
I do have Brewster's Millions on my short list. I just didn't. I picked the toy for some reason. I think because it looked so racist, and it was.
And it was, everybody. Oh, my God.
All right.
Oh, there you go. Ryan doesn't recommend it.
Dixon, what did you watch? And it wasn't the toy, was it?
No, it wasn't. I'm glad the toy was everything that you wanted it to be, Ryan.
Yeah.
Yeah, so a couple weeks ago, we talked about the trial. I have been on a little Welles kick, and I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I just need to go back to the start, and I have the Criterion 4K, and I haven't watched it, so I revisited Citizen Kane.
What's Rosebud?
That's what he said when he died.
Get in touch with everybody that ever worked for him, whoever loved him, whoever hated his guts.
You're a reporter. You want to know what I think about Charlie Kane. But he never believed in anything except Charlie Kane. He never had a conviction except Charlie Kane in his life.
I wonder, you put all this stuff together, palaces, paintings, toys, and everything. What would it spell?
You're right, Mr. Thatcher. I did lose $1 million last year. I expect to lose $1 million this year. I expect to lose $1 million next year. You know, Mr. Thatcher, at the rate of $1 million a year, I'll have to close this place in 60 years.
Orson Welles' 1941 masterpiece. There's a lot to dive into with this movie. I debated whether I should discuss it here or whether it's worth doing like a full episode on Citizen Kane, but fuck it. I'm just going to talk about it. So, Citizen Kane was Orson Welles' first film. He was already a famous celebrity. We talked about this a little bit in the trial episode, but he was a famous Broadway star and director and a radio show director and performer through his troupe called the Mercury Theater. And he became super famous for the War of the Worlds broadcast in 1938 that famously scared a bunch of people to flee their homes and run to the hills. And they had to like send people out to find everyone who had left their homes and convince them that aliens actually hadn't landed on Earth. And if you haven't listened to that, it's free on YouTube and it's fucking great. You should check it out. But basically that was kind of what propelled him into megastardom, and small Hollywood studio RKO signed Orson Welles to a contract that was unlike any contract any filmmaker had ever signed. He's 24 when he signs this contract that gives him full creative control, including final cut. And no director had really ever gotten a deal like that before. So he's this like wonder kid that comes in and gets this huge deal, not huge monetarily, but huge creatively. And because of this, he immediately becomes like shunned by the rest of Hollywood because everyone is super jealous of him for getting this deal that all of these established directors would kill for and the studios won't give them. But RKO is kind of this smaller startup studio, and they're willing to take a chance on the boy wonder and give him this contract. And so Citizen Kane is really a movie that only happened because of that, and it really couldn't have occurred in any other context. Just a fascinating story of how it got made, and the movie itself is so fascinating. But he co-wrote the story with Herman Mankiewicz, who based the film on the life of William Randolph Hearst, who was a yellow journalism newspaper magnate of the era. And Mankiewicz was like sort of friends with Hearst and would get invited to his parties at his compound, San Simeon. And so he was aware of kind of what that was like and him as a person and his wife. And so he wrote this screenplay kind of based off of that. And, then Welles contributed a lot of his own life and his own experiences into the story. And they make this film basically in secret at RKO because per the terms of his contract, he did not have to show dailies to the studio. And whenever the executives would show up on set, he would refuse to shoot anything. And he would just like start shooting the shit and fucking around whenever executives would come by. And he really kept this thing as close to the vest as possible. And nobody from RKO saw a second of the film until it was like fully cut and ready to go, which is pretty wild, especially for 1941 when the studio was so powerful and was controlling what everyone was making. In the process, Welles comes into this really having no idea what he's doing. He has extensive experience in theater and radio, but no experience in film whatsoever. And he ends up being able to work with an experienced cinematographer named Greg Toland, who is able to kind of show Welles the ropes and to help him to craft the vision that he wants. And Welles has this very specific idea of what he wants to do, but he doesn't really know technically how to execute it. And so Toland is really, kind of the biggest other creator in this story, to the point where he even gets a shared credit with Welles, like a title card where, it says directed by Orson Welles, shot by Greg Toland on the same card before the movie starts, which I think shows the level of respect that Welles had for Toland and the amount of influence that he had on the film. But Welles really wanted to tell the story in a very different way than any movie had ever been told before. And most films were kind of all shot in the same way, mostly for economic purposes in order to keep budgets down and be able to make movies quickly. And Welles, kind of having the benefit of ignorance, was able to do things that nobody else had done before, and having somebody like Toland to help him to figure out a way to make it work, where he was moving the camera in all these crazy ways that had never been done before, having these dissolves and edits that were new, and even crafting an entirely new lens to be able to show a depth of field that had never been seen on screen before, where he wanted to show some scenes more like a stage play where everything is in focus and the audience has the choice to focus on what they want in the scene. And, films before that, they're using lenses that have a very specific focal point. You have to focus on what you want the audience to pay attention to, and everything else is kind of fuzzy in the background of the scene. And you're not able to experience all of the set design and the background characters to the degree that Welles was wanting to achieve with this. So Toland helped him develop a camera lens that would help to put everything into focus. They built ceilings on all of their sets, which had never been done before in Hollywood. They would just not have ceilings and have a bunch of lighting above them. And Welles really wanted to show Charles Foster Kane and a lot of the characters from a very low level. And so they would dig holes into the floor and have the camera really low to show them kind of these towering figures with the ceilings above them. So a lot of innovation in the cinematography that went into this movie, as well as the sound design. With Welles' background in radio, he, in order to craft a a good radio play, you had to be able to set the scene through the sound. And so there are these scenes at the Thatcher Library or at Xanadu where you're in these big cavernous spaces and you have the voices sounding really hollow and kind of echoing off the walls. And nothing like that had really been done in movies before because they were only relying on the visuals to tell the story and not really trying to take advantage of every aspect of the filmmaking to create the most immersive experience possible. So Welles is like really pushing the boundaries of what can be done in cinema in this movie. He's also doing a lot of cool things with editing and with the optical printer where he can have something that's right up next to the camera that normally would not be able to be in focus, still be in focus with everything behind it, because you can kind of put shots onto each other to, you shoot one thing, you shoot another thing, you blend those things together in the editing to make them work. And, that had not really been used as well as it had before this movie. A lot of really creative uses of matte paintings in order to save budget. So you have these absurd sets like where Charles Foster Kane is running for governor and there's like 1 million people. It's supposed to be like at Madison Square Garden, and really it's just a small set, and you have a matte painting that's animated to show people in the stands. And Xanadu, they built a big staircase in one room and that's all they could afford, and everything else around it is a matte painting, and it all blends together so well. Like they're really just stretching the bounds of every filmmaking technique that they can find to make this the most compelling story possible. And so all of this comes together into this just tour de force of a film that is based on the life of William Randolph Hearst, about Charles Foster Kane as this character who is a poor child in some sort of northern state, and his parents end up his mom runs a boarding house, and a customer defaults, and he ends up giving her the rights to this mineral well as payment for rent, and it turns out it ends up being this huge thing, and it ends up creating this massive fortune. And Kane is a boy of maybe about 10, and his mother realizes that she needs to make sure this fortune is kept intact for him, and he has an abusive father. She's trying to figure out a way to kind of keep him safe from that abusive father, and makes a deal with the bank essentially to say, hey, I'll let you take control of all my assets, charge me fees, make the money that you want to make off of it, but you preserve this for my son. And essentially he's raised by a banker for the second half of his childhood, presumably, or predictably from then, flunks out of school a bunch of places and is, kind of a half-built human being from that, disjointed childhood, to where then at age 25, he comes into full possession of all of the assets, and he owns a bunch of holdings at that point, and the only thing that he's interested in is a newspaper, the New York Inquirer. And the banker is very upset that all he cares about is the newspaper, and he thinks that's not an interesting profession for him, someone of such wealth to be interested in. And it starts out of him wanting to run the New York Inquirer, and Kane is a kind of a two-sided figure where he says he wants to run a really good newspaper. He creates a declaration of principles to put in the newspaper to show that he wants to be honest and fair with his readers. But then he's also wanting to put headlines in the front of the paper about a woman's missing, maybe she was murdered, we don't have any proof that she was, but we're gonna do this to drum up readership. And so he's kind of doesn't really know what he wants. He doesn't have a lot of principles. He is a person who is just a rich guy that just wants to do what he finds interesting. And it's this fascinating story of him going from kind of bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, ignorant 25-year-old to a grizzled old man who has alienated everyone around him. And, he has this group of friends that he brings in to start the newspaper with. He eventually pisses them all off. He marries a woman, divorces her, marries somebody else, tries to make her a singer, and she's a horrible singer, but he forces her into that lifestyle. And there's a lot of interesting aspects of this guy who takes his fortune, and people talk about how, he's going to be president someday. And he just kind of never is able to achieve those things that he wants to. he's put on the finish line of life, but is never able to kind of get over the finish line into accomplishing more than what he has been given and all of the wealth that is handed to him. He runs for governor. He doesn't, he has a failed run for governor. It's basically the story of a tycoon. It's a very American story of a wealthy businessman who just kind of is a dick, but maybe doesn't realize it, and his slow downfall into loneliness and death that is coming to us all. And, I think the movie structures itself around this mystery of his last words at a rosebud, and you're supposed to try to figure out, what does this mean? And there's a journalist going around interviewing people that knew him. And the narrative structure was really innovative at the time too, where, the movie starts on the central character's death, and then his life is told through a series of flashbacks, which had never been done at the time. But the whole time you're like, oh man, what is the point of this movie? Like, what is this thing that he really cared about? It's Rosebud. And at the end of the day, I think it's sort of a misdirect where it doesn't really matter what the answer is. And I think it's interesting to discuss, like, his lost innocence, his childhood, his longing for his mother. What do these things represent? There's a lot of things that are fun to discuss there. But at the end of the day, I think it really is it's just such an American story about the Gilded Age and the Depression and these tycoons who just kind of used the country as their playground and alienated a lot of people around them. And as we move into a second Gilded Age right now, I think it's interesting to see this movie. And there's so many historical figures that you can compare Charles Foster Kane to. A lot of politicians. There's a lot of Trumpian things, a lot of Nixonian things that come into play here. Wells was very much a leftist and aligned himself with FDR and was kind of trying to tell sort of an anti-capitalist message through the film, which I think is another reason why it maybe didn't do as well as it otherwise would have. But, he puts together this masterpiece and puts it out there, and William Randolph Hearst immediately tries to bury it. And he, uses all of his power in Hollywood to keep it from getting out there. His wife is an actress at the time. He has put a bunch of money into movies, and so he has a lot of sway with these companies. This was the era where the studios owned theater chains, and so if he could convince the studios not to show the movies in their theater chains, they wouldn't show it. He also refused to talk about it in any of his newspapers. And so with all of that, there was only one movie chain that actually released the film in 1941. It was pretty much universally loved by the people that saw it. A lot of critics at the time wrote that it was the best film they'd ever seen, but it just kind of disappeared because it wasn't able to get a wide release. And so after World War II ended, it started being released in Europe in the mid to late 40s, and you just started to see people over there really fall in love with this film. It gained a lot of traction there. Francois Truffaut really fell in love with it at the time, and a lot of kind of the new wave directors in France really liked it. It didn't get a re-release, like a full legit re-release in the US until 1956, and got a lot of acclaim at the time. People started to reassess it more until eventually it got bought by RKO, the studio went out of business. They got bought by a television network, and then they just started running it on TV all the time. That's really when most people saw it.
It's like It's a Wonderful Life.
Kind of, yeah, kind of like that. Yeah. 1962 was the first Sight and Sound poll, or maybe not the first one, but the first one that Kane was ranked in, and it was number one, the best film of all time in the 1962 Sight and Sound poll, and then it kept that ranking until 2012. Vertigo surpassed it, and it dropped to number 2.
And that's when we changed as a country.
I know, yeah. In 2023, or 2022 maybe, Jean Dielman was number 1, and Kane was pushed down to number 3. But it's still been thought of historically as this great film. It's a movie that is used in film school constantly because of all of the different techniques it's using and all the innovation in the film. But I think it's amazing how fresh it feels. Like every time I watch it, I'm like, my God, this is just so good, and it feels so vibrant and alive. And that's mostly because of Welles' directing, but he's such an incredible actor too, and just he's so great as Charles Foster Kane. And I think it's such a shame that Hearst buried the movie when it came out, and that really kind of destroyed Wells's entire career. He was never really able to recover from that, along with the fact that all the other studios hated him because they thought he was this pompous wonder kid who, like, you know, was getting too much power too fast and wasn't like paying his dues. And so he was never really able to kind of get the work that he wanted to do from there. But, you know, we talk about more about Wells' career in the trial episode if you want to go check that out. But yeah, I mean, Citizen Kane is just a fucking fantastic film and definitely one of the greats of all time.
Do you think that Wells would have succeeded if he had made like a Citizen Kane now? Like, there's not really, with the internet, I guess, is more of the technical question, because with the ability to have democratized information and it not be print journalism that holds it back, there's a lot of ways to be like, oh, this is a movie that's happening now. Like, this is a thing that you can't stop, basically, because it just like permeates through too many channels for like somebody like William Randolph Hearst, who I don't think could conceive of that.
Right. Yeah.
Would just be so widespread.
Yeah. I mean, you couldn't stop it now to the degree that you could at the time. But even so, if like Rupert Murdoch was trying to keep a movie from coming out, you know, he could stop it from coming out in certain places.
He could
but
sink it quite a bit.
Or like, maybe like David Ellison is a better example.
True.
Like,
yeah.
you know, somebody who's like really owning all the mainstream media sources. It could get out to other places. It could get online. Is that the ideal experience? No, but it would probably be easier for it to get out there.
Yeah, you hear that, Murdoch, you old fuck? David Ellison's better than you'll ever be. Come on.
I think it would. It would Streisand itself, though, too, right? If they were trying that hard to like put it down and keep it down and paying people not to let it out and talking shit about it, it would just draw more and more and more attention to it.
And it kind of had that effect at the time. Like, the people that saw it loved it, and it got nominated for 9 Oscars, and it was like the talk of Hollywood for quite a while. But then, you know, it just never got out to the broader to the public enough. Right. And it only won 1 Oscar for screenplay, which most people think is because Herman Mankiewicz had worked in the industry for a long time, and it was more of like a nod to him than to Wells, even though they were co-writers on it. But because he was given everything he wanted in creative control so early and didn't like pay his dues, the industry hated him. And apparently at the Oscars in 1942, the movie was booed every time it was mentioned, which is just crazy to me how fucking petty these people are.
Yeah, constantly. Yeah. Always. The Oscars never surprises me. Yeah, the only thing that I remember about this, because it's been a while since I've seen it, I remember when I did see it, it does have that, like, I saw it post-college. I think that's the first time I really sat down and watched Citizen Kane, because I don't think before that, it's just like like a Family Guy joke that I'd seen and some other stuff that were referencing it. I really fucking loved it. I had a fantastic time with it, and there's a scene where, for whatever reason, a bird screeches and fucking scared the shit out of me.
Yeah.
And apparently that was just like, they thought it was going to be fucking boring. So they just put that in there to wake people up or some shit. That's at least like the word of mouth, I guess, about it. Which I'm like, the rest of this movie's gripping. How did somebody watch this and be like, you got to put a bird in here. Got to make somebody wake them up.
I don't know.
Do whatever. There is a Drunk History sketch as well, where they talk about Citizen Kane, and it's got Jack Black as Orson Welles.
Okay.
It's a pretty fantastic short bit where they talk about him confronting, I think that they like regale a story of him getting into an elevator with William Randolph Hearst.
Oh, yes.
And I heard about that, and I was like, that's fucking great. Just that story, the way that it's told, the way that it permeates through history. Great confrontation of somebody who's an up-and-comer against a titan of fucking bullshit industry yellow journalism. Just great. So yeah, I've always really had a soft spot for Citizen Kane after the first time seeing it and being visually arrested by it and how fantastic it was, and then learning the details behind it and like everything that kind of pieces together why it stands apart, why it's important. It just gets better and better each time. What did Lindsay think?
She enjoyed it. She probably enjoyed the documentary on the special features more than she enjoyed the movie. But yeah, she liked it. I think for her, it's like easier to get into films when there's a historical aspect to it. And because it's such a famous like pillar of cinema, that was interesting to her. And then like understanding why it was so innovative was interesting for her.
I think that finding out and the appreciation for how much he pushed movie making does really add another layer to it beyond just the movie itself, right? I think there's a lot of things that you when you go back and watch something that old, I can see people easily going and being like, okay, I mean, that was interesting, but what's the big deal? Because so much is, at the time, something no one had seen before, but now has become a staple that you can, expect to see in a movie. That being able to be like, oh, that was the first time that happened, can add appreciation to it. That brings us to a close. Those are a couple good movies I could have watched instead. That's a recommend for 2012's The Master, a refute for 1982's The Toy, and a recommend added to the backlog of recommends for Orson Welles' Citizen Kane. I have been your host tonight, Ryan King. The Citizen Kane.
The Citizen Kane.
The Citizen Kane.
Trial? No.
Kane, the Citizen. Nice. I've been your host tonight, Ryan King. Joining me as always,
John Garcia. I didn't get to say everything I wanted to about Bicentennial Man, but I'm just not gonna. I'm just low on energy. I can't.
Thank you, John.
I can't do it.
Yeah. We all appreciate it.
Yeah, I know. I know.
We'll never find out if he became a man.
Or bicentennial.
Yeah, or what that even had to do with anything.
I can't wait for the bisesquicentennial man.
Bisesquicentennial man. Also joining us,
Michael Dixon. Thanks for putting up with our bullshit.
Hey there, movie buffs, TV toughs, and all listeners in between. John here from the Afterthoughts podcast. I just wanted to drop in at the end of this episode and say thanks for listening. If you've got afterthoughts of your own to share, hit us up. You can find us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at The Afterpod, or jump into a conversation on our Discord server. You can find info for this and more at theafterpod.transistor.fm. Thanks again for listening, and we'll catch you on the next episode.